Mediocrity is Hollywood's bread and butter. Why make a good movie when you can make an okay-ish movie that's not bad and still make tons of money? That's why today we're going to be going through and ranking all of the mediocre movies that released in 2022. This is part 2 in a 3-part series where I rank all of the 2022 movies that I watched. Today we're going over all of the mediocre movies, which means any movie that I gave a C letter grade. Uncharted is a weird movie. It doesn't really work as a video game adaptation, pretty much just because Tom Holland doesn't look like Nathan Drake whatsoever. The change in personality essentially makes them completely different characters. So essentially what you're left with is an action movie, and a generic action movie at that has a popular video game IP slapped on. The only way I could see someone really liking this film is if they're a big Tom Holland fan, but even then it still has several issues, including the CGI, which can be really rough at parts. It's not completely awful, as some of the action is pretty good. Overall, kind of enjoyable time, but this is a movie I wouldn't really recommend unless you're a die-hard Uncharted fan or a die-hard Tom Holland fan. C-. Turning Red. I did not like Turning Red. I did not hate Turning Red. That's why it's in my mediocre list and not my bad list. I just didn't think this movie was up to Pixar standards. I mean, just look at the animation. It looks more like an Illumination movie than a Pixar movie. And heck, even now Illumination is making movies that look better. One of my biggest problems with the story is that it didn't really feel like it had any stakes. The only bad thing that would happen if May didn't achieve her goal would be that she wouldn't be able to go to the 4-time concert. Which, to be honest, I don't really care whether or not she gets to go to her boy band concert. And it feels like once she wasn't able to go, it was like, great, movie over. But of course, the movie wasn't over, and it kind of feels like they had to tack on a climax onto that. This movie isn't completely awful. It's just that Pixar can do much, much better. C-. I thought there was no way to go wrong with Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds, but Spirited really disappointed me. Seems like some people like this movie, but I don't know, this one just didn't fill me up with the Christmas cheer. I feel like the basic premise was a bit too convoluted for a Christmas movie, and the overall mechanics of it were kind of hard to grasp. And overall, there was just way too much death for a Christmas movie. And also, the good afternoon stuff got really tiring after a while. Once again, there are enjoyable sequences of this movie, and Ryan and Will's interactions definitely do save this movie from being bad, but this one's still gonna have to take the C-. You know those I Hate My Wife boomer comics? Well, Ticket to Paradise is essentially just an entire movie of those I Hate My Wife jokes, along with an equal amount of I Hate My Husband jokes. At least for the first half. The second half is a pretty unrealistic romance plot that doesn't really make much sense. If you want to see George Clooney and Julia Roberts make boomer humor jokes all movie, then this one's for you. But for the rest of us, I think we'll just move on. C-. Death on the Nile is an enjoyable but forgettable murder mystery film. It's definitely not awful, but it's filled with little things that keep me from enjoying it. Like all the crazy camera angles they have to shove in every 5 seconds. It just ended up distracting me from the movie. And I just feel like after a while it kinda dragged on. I have to admit I was a bit disappointed that they killed off Gal Gadot so early, but I can't really get mad at a murder mystery movie for killing people. C. Lyle, Crocodile has to be the most ridiculous movie since the Bee Movie. Like, nothing makes sense. The simple fact alone that Lyle never has any speaking lines makes it so that every time Lyle opens his mouth and Shawn Mendes' voice comes out, it's an absolute gut punch and you're never prepared for it, no matter how many times it happens. And it's just so bizarre how everyone in this movie hates Lyle until they see him sing, and then they immediately love him and will do anything to protect him. so much weird with this movie, but it's almost so bad it's good. But it's not actually so bad it's good. It's more so bad it's mediocre. C. Beast is almost funny with how ridiculous it is. This one lion is literally invincible throughout the entire thing. It even gets hit with a tranquilizer dart that is specifically designed to take down lions, and it just doesn't even care. And then in the ending of the movie, Idris Elba decides to wrestle the lion with nothing but a knife. And not only does he survive, but they kill the lion, the main antagonist of the movie, off screen. Has to be the most ridiculous ending ever. This one gets a C. And by the way, by my calculations, this movie is the mediocrest mediocre movie to release in 2022. DC League of Superpets is a fairly decent kids movie, but in the end, it's nothing special. It's not a movie that I see really anyone, not even a kid, returning to after they've already seen it. But it's still not bad. I mean, Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart have fun interactions like always. And there are some fun parts to this movie, but in the end, I have to complain about this character poster. It says, "The Bruce is loose," even though Bruce spends the entire movie locked up in a frickin' cage. Blatant false advertising. C. Black Adam is a movie that does a lot right and also a lot wrong. Black Adam, Dr. Fate, and Hawkman pretty much carry this entire movie, but all the other characters are just bland, forgettable, and don't really contribute much. And the freaking kid is the most annoying part of this movie. He has to be saved more times than Princess Peach. And after a while, you kinda just want it to end, even though it's not completely bad, as Dwayne Johnson actually does a surprisingly good job playing Black Adam, as it's finally Dwayne Johnson playing a different character after he's been playing the same character for so many movies. C. Lightyear should have been way better than it ended up being. The idea of a movie that focuses on the Buzz Lightyear IP inside of the Toy Story universe isn't a bad one, but it feels like they came up with that idea but didn't have any actual ideas for the actual movie. And while there are good parts about that movie that I did enjoy, I feel like the biggest shame is how they handled Zurg. I'm sorry, but I want evil Emperor Zurg to be an evil emperor. I don't want him to just be a weird future Buzz or whatever. And it seems like they were teasing having actual Zurg in the sequel, but there probably isn't going to be a sequel considering it did bad at the box office. Pixar really should have focused on this one movie rather than trying to set up something new. The fact that they screwed up Zurg so much means that this isn't going to be a movie that I want to return to really ever, which is really sad because right now, Pixar just needs to let the Toy Story brand rest. Oh, god damn it. C. See How They Run is a fun murder mystery movie with likable characters and an enjoyable plot. However, I found the reveal at the end to be super lame. They tried way too hard to make the murderer someone that the audience couldn't guess, and it ended up hurting the movie in the long run. Just ended up being anticlimactic because the murderer was someone you never paid attention to and never cared about, which makes this an extremely lame whodunit. C+. To be completely honest with you guys, I don't watch One Piece, so maybe I'm a bit unqualified to judge One Piece Film Red, but while it did have a lot of fun scenes in it, it felt like even this one movie had filler, where I was kind of just waiting for them to move on with the plot, and the overall mechanics of the dream world were kind of hard to wrap your brain around, but whatever. C+. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. This one's kinda sad, because while this movie isn't awful, it should have been great. Doctor Strange is a fan favorite in the MCU, so there's no reason why his movie couldn't have been amazing, and especially with Sam Raimi as a director. It felt like this movie was going to be what the MCU really needed. But then it kind of just dropped the ball in most aspects, specifically the multiverse aspect. As while I wanted a fun movie that explored a bunch of wacky universes, we ended up only really exploring two, which is extremely lame. And I don't even care if the universes didn't have fun cameos in it. I just wanted to see wacky multiverse shenanigans with which this movie did not have. The characters are fine, and I don't care about the transitions as much as everyone on TikTok does, but this one's getting a C+, when it could have been so much better. Minions: The Rise of Gru. This movie was actually better than I thought it was going to be. I wasn't a big fan of the original Minions movie, but the Despicable Me movies with Gru are pretty fun, and I think this movie showed that it's not really much point to having a movie with Minions in it unless it has Gru. If I had to complain, I would say that I wish that the Minions and Gru didn't get separated for pretty much the entire movie. I feel like their interactions are worth having, and I feel like this movie didn't have enough of that. But this movie is cute, it's funny enough, and it didn't waste my time. And that's really all I could ask from a Minions movie. Plus, this movie gave everyone an excuse to break out their formal attire, so pretty fun time. C+. Alright, we're ending this video on a hot take. Nope was kinda mediocre. In my opinion, it was the best mediocre movie. Take that for what you will, but this one just didn't do it for me. There are good aspects to it. Characters and the pacing weren't great, and alright, the general message doesn't make much sense to me. I hear everyone say that it's a message about spectacle, about how we're too obsessed with taking pictures of stuff and whatnot, and that's why the crazy cinematographer guy dies while he's trying to record it and whatnot, and they're all risking their lives trying to take pictures of this thing. But the ending of this movie has them taking a picture of it, and it's portrayed as only a good thing. So is being obsessed with taking pictures of things good, or is being obsessed with taking pictures of things bad? I'm not really sure this message is as rock solid as people say it is. This movie's not bad. I am sorry, Jordan Peele fans. This one's just gonna have to take a C+. Sorry. Alright, that was the mediocre movies. Please tell me how much my opinions suck in the comment section below. And have a great day.